There he is.
You know what that is?
Is that batch 22?
It's the sound of Christmas.
Sound of terror.
Bells on a sleigh. It
What do you,
is. It's batch 22.
well, we all know what you're doing this evening. You're drinking alone.
Well, yeah. Okay. There you go. Yes, I am. I'm drinking alone. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, in the midst of the Christmas seasonal chaos,
Oh yeah.
like everybody, just buffeted by the winds of Omicron.
Buffeted by the winds. Yeah. Fate, family, and frantic, frenetic commercialism.
Well, I'm for the most part avoiding that part, but just getting all the work done you got to get done before everything shuts down, and getting the stuff you got to do done.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard when
Yeah.
it's not Christmas.
It's hard when it.
That's all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. And so you've been busy, no time to watch anything?
Um, we no, that's yeah. We've been watching some stuff over here.
Oh, yeah. What have you watched?
Well, we're really into this new. There's a new show. I think it's new. It's new to us anyway. It's on Hulu. It's called Bloods. It's a British comedy about paramedics, and it's pretty damn entertaining.
Ah.
That we've been liking a lot.
So these are the people who handle the bodies before they end up in the morgue in the show that I've been watching.
I guess so. Yeah.
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 Okay. Where
Yeah.
it gets very serious.
Yeah. No, these people are not. These are still alive. These people,
Okay.
hopefully. But it's a lot of gallows humor as you'd expect. It's very funny and everything.
Anybody we know in it? I don't mean that we know, but that we
There,
would know of. That
there
the
are,
audience.
there are, but my mind being what it is these days, I have to go on to IMDb to refresh my memory.
Okay.
Yes, Bloods, TV. I'm not seeing it. Bloods. There it is. Oh yeah, it's Jane Horrocks is in it. She was in a
Oh.
movie called Little Voice.
Yeah.
And Samson Kao, who's really killing it on the show. He's just beyond belief funny. You've seen him in stuff, I'm sure, British comedies. And Julian Barrett, who I love from a movie called Mindhorn. Did you ever see Mindhorn?
I did not see mine.
Well, then that's my Christmas gift to all of you out there, and to you, my brother. Mindhorn.
Mindhorn.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check that out. I watched a movie last night, which when I told you I was going to watch it, you said something that made me laugh for about 10 minutes. I watched The Unforgivable,
Okay.
new movie with on Netflix with Sandra Bullock,
Mm-hmm.
the always interesting to watch Vincent D'Onofrio,
Mm-hmm.
John Bernthal, Viola Davis, Richard Thomas. Thought it was by and large a really good story, but with a little some extraneous things they didn't need in it to tell the story. But by and large, pretty good. But this is not one I think you're going to be running out to watch, right?
Well, I don't know that I would say that on a show.
Oh, that's right, because you still
know.
want to have a career.
Still have a vague, you know.
You haven't
Yeah.
given up yet on
Well,
life.
only does it causes me mild hesitation. You very well know what my go-to kinds of movies are.
Yeah, this isn't it.
But maybe but the thing is, I always love being surprised, and a lot of my favorite movies are movies I wouldn't think I'd like, but they happen to be movies I like.
I liked this. I don't think it's your kind of story necessarily.
Okay,
Look,
she gets out of prison or something, and
she gets out of prison. She killed a cop,
Okay,
which is frowned on
people don't like that.
in most circles.
Yeah.
There are other people who apparently you are allowed to kill.
Okay.
And I mean, not in this movie, but just in general in the world, there are people who you are allowed to kill, and you are lionized for it. Um, feted at political conventions for killing certain kinds of people. Um, but police, you're not supposed to kill, and I agree with that. I'm not saying, oh, you should be able to kill police. I
Oh,
don't believe that.
pardon me.
But let's see. Let's get off this topic
I
because
was just going to wait until you stopped talking about. Was that politics? I'm not. Wait, I'm confused.
okay, Anthony Jeselnik too. I have been watching.
An interesting named person.
A comedian, some stuff on Netflix. If you like your humor darker than dark, you go right ahead and watch yourself some Anthony Jeselnik.
Okay.
Really dark.
I
And
do
Tom
like that.
Segura also. A couple of Tom Segura Netflix comedy
I-
specials.
I do know Tom Segura stuff. He's great. I
Yeah.
do know about him. Justin, I know I've heard, but I can't place, and that's as much help as I can give you.
Yeah.
So you've seen more things than I have.
Yeah, I've been busy on the TV this past week. I've been busy on everything, but having to sort of refresh myself by watching a little TV.
Did you write? Did you see the final 39th episode of this British show, or are you still working on that?
No, I'm still working my way through.
Okay.
One of my favorite characters left.
Henge. It's called Hengewith, right?
Woodworthy Manor.
Okay.
No, it's called it's called Silent Witness. Because the where they are getting the evidence is the dead body. Get it? They're silent. They can't speak.
Right.
Ah, yes, I see. Silent Witness. But yeah, I'm still working on that. But see, I wasn't going to bring it up because you said I had to. I watched other things because you said you were sick and tired of me talking.
I was afraid you weren't going to bring it up this show, and I thought maybe you weren't. We were off book. Something went wrong, so I wanted to make sure.
Talk about it all the time, no matter what.
We have a similar thing on P for Paranormal where Maddie likes to talk about Rocky, so I'm trying to get off of him talking about Rocky. Now I got this, but I'm helping the problem. I'm throwing gas on this. I apologize.
My friend Mark Morosi is sending me text messages as we're doing our show, telling me to say hello to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Say hello back.
I will. I don't think he's watching the show.
Well,
if he was watching the show, he could be commenting, apparently. But
right.
Anyway.
He doesn't want to be associated with it. But little did he know you'd mention his name.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess unless there's something else, I guess we're going to have to talk about this movie. And those of you who listen to the show regularly, I think know that my brother Anthony and I do not talk about the movie before coming on the show, so that we can.
We talk about which movie we're going to watch.
We're talking
That's
about
about
which,
it.
but we do not discuss our reaction to it. So we come into the show, each of us not knowing what the other one thinks of it, and this has caused no end of dismay to each of us. But I think probably more often to Anthony than to me. That we're going to be getting to some movies later in the year that will cause dismay for me when Anthony. What do we say? Craps all over them.
Oh, now really? I'm going to be wonderful. I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to try to see things that you're going to open my eyes to stuff.
But I try to be open-minded with some of these movies that he recommends, and that brings us to tonight's offering, 1980's Christmas Evil. And I'm guessing you're in a bit of suspense now as to what I thought of this.
Well, that would imply that I've allowed my heart to stay in this game, but I'm too afraid of getting hurt, so I haven't really.
Really? So you place no bets on whether?
No,
or not
I do place. I you know what? Actually, this is a hard one. I might say that I could see you being on board with this. Because it does some of the things that you've complained about other movies before not doing, and this kind of does some of those things. So I'm going to say that
Go out on a limb. Come on.
you're favorable towards it.
Favorable.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I don't think that you're running around telling people to go see it necessarily.
You'd be wrong. Because I frickin' adored this movie.
Really?
Yeah, this movie knocked my socks off.
Wow.
It started slow. I don't mean the movie started slow. I mean the taking off of my socks started slow. And then all of a sudden they flew off across the room and hit the wall.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised. I
Yeah.
didn't think that you would have this kind of reaction to it.
This movie, wow. I will watch this movie again and tie other people to chairs to make them watch it. And if they don't like it, I will explain to them why they are wrong. And
Okay.
just to underscore that, a little bit of sleigh bells.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Which means that you love everything about it. So I don't even need to really question you on your position. If you feel that strongly, then you pretty much are like in love with it.
Yeah. And there are even some things about it where I'm like, there's a couple of things I want to talk about where I'm saying, is this a problem with the movie? Or is it a really, really smart choice where they're commenting on
Or is it a problem with you?
with me?
That's also got to be in the mix.
Yeah, I suppose that's possible. But okay, so I've thrown it out there. I've declared my love. Where do you sit?
We're separating on this one. We're diverging.
Really? Okay. Wow.
It's not a complete left turn like out of the gate, because I was impressed by enough things for the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes that I thought, oh, I stumbled on something that I would recommend to everybody. And then I started to lose enthusiasm for that choice as the movie went on, and in my opinion showed itself to have none of the things in it that it had promised me, really. And instead had some things that I wanted to punch and throw down a flight of stairs.
Okay. Wow. Okay. There we go. So we're disagreeing on this movie in a way that I didn't expect us to disagree. Interesting.
It's got a lot of things that I would normally say I would be really into, and some of them I am. But I found it to be both lacking in, it wasn't a joyful enough experience, nor was it a grim enough experience. And so I feel it was kind of, non-committal.
Okay. I do want to say that one of the things right out of the gate that I loved about this movie was I had, as you know, a deeply troubled childhood.
I'm sorry.
But well before you arrived on the scene.
I
I'm
understand.
talking about before you arrived on
This
the
is
scene.
hot. This is just very hot tea. Sorry.
Once you arrived on the scene, everything became wonderful. But in my earlier years, living through various divorces and stuff.
You were married very early, as I recall, as a child.
Yeah, right. No, not my divorce. The divorces of other people, most notably my birth mother. Not you, Mom. I know you're watching. I know you're watching the show. But my biological mother and her various vagaries and wanderings. So, and that led me to have a deeply troubled relationship with the song "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus," because I grew up wondering why there was a hit Christmas song about mom having an affair. Just gives you a little sneak peek into my my psyche as a child.
You were just hipper than the other kids were. You were hip.
Yeah, there you go.
You were hip to it.
Yeah. So this movie begins, and with mom and the kids sitting on the stairs in 1947 as somebody, obviously dad, comes down the chimney and places presents under the tree, and then cheekily sees the children watching and smiles and gives them a little shush sign and a wink. And then the kids go to bed and have an argument about whether or not Santa Claus is real. And one of them throws a hissy fit and leaves the room and wanders back to the stairs and sees mom and Santa Claus getting busy in a very strange
Busy at
way.
something. I don't know what they were doing.
Yes.
They weren't doing a puzzle. They weren't making a puzzle on the table.
Puzzle.
They weren't decorating the tree.
And they
were
weren't
doing
making
something.
love.
I don't know. That was clearly not happening. I don't know what was going on.
Very odd. And then why don't you tell? And then the kids grow up, and one of them starts.
Then what we're basically leading to is that there is like Emmanuel 2 level softcore kissing and touching of his mom's thigh. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
It's as PG as that kind of thing is going to be.
It's as PG as you can get in an R movie.
Let me remind you, it is an R-rated horror slasher movie.
Right.
And this is enough to drive the child mad, insane.
Yeah. Insane.
I don't.
And
So what happens is they flash forward abruptly, to the present day, which is actually 1980.
You say that critically. It's not the other thing was a prologue. That's all. It's not.
I felt it was abrupt. I felt that not only did they not give me a substantial enough reason for this child to become a maniac, not only did they steal that from, for instance, Patrick, a much better movie that goes to great lengths to show you why he is a berserk crazy person. Same reason, but, the opening has much more punch, shall we say.
Okay.
So we have a brief prologue, as you said. We learn about this incident, and we flash forward to present day, and this kid has grown up, and he's now working at a toy store, which is actually a toy factory.
Yeah.
Which is actually a toy company. I'm not sure which or how it works, and he has a job there in some form of management position because he goes to some parties with those people and they say things like, "Hi Bob, how's that assembly? How's that project?" But his heart is more into Christmas as a pure thing. So he wants the company to build better toys and toys that are better for kids. And then when we follow him home, we also realize that he keeps a series of books at home after watching children with binoculars throughout the neighborhood.
Naughty and nice.
Which kids in the neighborhood are naughty and which are nice. This is not, believe it or not, I hadn't given up on the movie yet. Believe it or not, I was still going, let's stick with this, because hopefully it will go someplace and won't fall into the trap of the thing we complained about last time, which was we don't have a plot. We just have a guy and we get to follow him around going crazier, a little bit crazier, yet crazier still, and marking children to kill without any interjection of humans of any other kind, without any other stories, without a victim we care about.
Wow.
It is basically, from there on, just becomes a character study, a la Taxi Driver, or William Lustig's Maniac, which is actually what this is kind of trying to be, wishes it could be, but it doesn't have the guts to actually make a horror movie out of it. That's what I thought.
And there you have our show, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm
Please
not
join us next week.
I'm not just. This isn't just simply payback. It's just happens to be good timing. Let's just put it
Right.
that
Okay.
way.
See, this all surprises me because I thought in its weird mix to me of there's like a weird mix of some realism, some German expressionism, some Frankenstein villagers with I mean, weird imagery being mashed into this movie. I thought that would totally turn you on the way it 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 plucked from uh different traditions.
That actually, you're right. I mean, I liked that part. I liked that about the movie. That was one
Okay.
of the things I did like about it.
I mean, at the end, when the villagers went for when it turned into villagers and torches, I was blown away by that. Like, oh my God, they've turned him into a Frankenstein monster, and the mob is chasing after him. And that to me tied together this whole thing that I felt through the whole movie as this commentary on the bleakness of the middle class dream. That all of the locations and the whole world in which the movie took place was this sort of non-aspirational, dull society where nobody had good dreams. No, everything was sort of lower middle class. It all looked like a Queens neighborhood that you'd want to get out of. Every
It
home,
was, I think, in fact, exactly that. I think
yeah,
there was stuff shot in like old Williamsburg too, like on the waterfront.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that you never saw anything different to me, that it created this sort of closed world of depressing middle class, almost
Yeah.
ennui, and nothing to aspire to. And go ahead.
I mean, sometimes no budget can help your movie and can look like you've made a choice when in fact all you had was your friend's garage.
Well, but they were on location. They could have shot in a. They could have shown you a nice house.
Sure. Sure.
Oh wow. Okay, you're being tough. Um. All right. I'm going to bring up some other things. The ballet sequence. I'm sorry. At the beginning of the movie, when he's getting dressed, was brilliant.
Not the worst thing, I guess. No. No. No.
And
I yeah.
I'm going to back up my thing about this theme of the middle class, the middle class world, and this this sort of dream that's not worth having, is with his repetition about the tune that everybody's dancing to, that he can't figure out the tune that everybody's dancing to.
Mhm.
Maple
Yes.
Dragon says, "Taxi driver meets Santa. Why didn't I think of that?"
That's right. It was made before you were even watching Video Nasties, Peter.
Yeah.
It really was.
And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Tony, because Taxi Driver was one of the comps I had for this, one of the pairings I had for this movie.
Yeah,
That's
that I mean that's a yeah, that's a that would be a yeah, sure. I can't argue with you cuz on those points because those are all things that I think yeah, okay, those were good things about it. I mean, it's certainly not, for me like a complete disaster in that way, but it didn't accumulate to anything, and I got frustrated by some basic for me just it didn't have any scares in it at all. The kills are awful. It's a terrible slasher movie for me for a lot of reasons, and it has no palpable actual cinematic style or suspense. There's some good shots, and I would appreciate that they had a dolly, and they laid track on stuff, which was great. which is the signifier for a lot of DPs that like, I know we don't have a lot of money, but at least I know how to do that. Hats
Oh
off. Nice.
man!
Some nice push-ins, some nice elegant tracks. That's great.
Wow. Okay.
The lighting, it did get a little German expressionist sometimes. I thought some of that was cool. But instead of giving me, any beeline plot with some great actors you had playing cops, you're going to give me 10 minutes on a roof of him trying to shove himself down a chimney like it's a Mr. Rogers movie. Instead of making a horror movie, you've lost me. I'm not coming
Wow.
back.
Okay, that was one of my favorite sequences.
Couldn't I really wanted to punch my own face in when I had to
Really?
sit through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh God, I got see there. I totally agree with you that it's not a slasher movie. That there were no slasher scares, but I got scared. Not ooh slasher scared, but I got so anxious in the scene on the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
About
I
what? In God's name, what had made you anxious?
um I I started to care about this guy in a weird way. Like the his damage and his struggle and the way that he does some that he's struggling to do something. He wants so badly to live in a better world than he lives in, and they relentlessly paint the real world, the sane world around him is horrible. I mean, the scene with Steve Mendillo confronting Santa in front of the children, even though he's a murderer, but the way it happens and the children defending Santa, and then Steve Mendillo hitting his wife and throwing her to the ground in front of the children became so emotionally and morally complicated for me that we have this Santa who's a killer, but he's rebelling against this world that is runs the spectrum from dull and boring to cruel and horrible, and he wants it to be something better than that. And you are not buying what I'm selling at all.
I mean, I see it. I see what you're talking about. That didn't add up to me having a good experience with it. I mean, I think that we've covered some movies that are truly have no character thought in them whatsoever, and on a spectrum of that to this, there's been some thought here. I mean, the actor who plays the crazy Santa, Brandon Maggart, he brings what he can to it. Like, he's trying to inject this with some kind of real character here, and I feel what he's trying to do. I don't know. I felt like they're they weren't playing to their strengths in this, and then they also just needed more. They needed to do something else. They needed to do something else. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't real enough for me to spend an hour and a half with him as a character analysis of this guy. That's where I was like, okay, if you're gonna do a character piece about a damaged person who thinks that they're Santa Claus, and you're gonna really do that, you got to bad lieutenant that stuff. You got to really do that. They made a grindhouse, cheap thrills movie, and they didn't put the cheap thrills in it. And I felt like instead they gave me a kind of a cheap B version of a Taxi Driver, without anything that with we by and still used tropes and stuff I didn't really believe. So I couldn't go on that character journey because I didn't feel they made good on the promise of why I would show up to spend an hour and a half to see this, would be to get my mind blown by how ludicrously crazy the slasher movie was. It just got more serious and then included characters out of nowhere that I was supposed to care. His brother thing, I was very confused by that. He shows up at his brother's, and I know, you're not supposed to know right away maybe where he's going, but he watches his brother, played by the wonderful Jeffrey DeMunn, who apparently even at an early age could act a lot. Like he was capable, how shall I put it, of a lot of acting. I love Jeffrey DeMunn.
I do too.
But there's sometimes a moment
in this movie. He swung for the fences
where you're like, wow, you love acting so much that you're willing to do more of it here than maybe you need to do.
Okay. Well, there's a comment here that I think is apropos. I'm not going to put it up on screen, but I'll just read it. Love Face XYZ Girls Here Streamers recommends.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just thank you for that comment, which you've made 3 times.
We appreciate that.
You're not going to get any 5 times. You're not going to get any free advertising.
You're very popular.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's lovely.
What about I'm gonna throw out another favorite scene of mine for you to knock down. The Christmas Eve sad friends and neighbors association dance at which
the Knights of Columbus dance on the corner of South, Sad and
the corner of Sad and Maudlin. Creeped me out.
Yeah, I thought it was creepy conceptually, and I liked the fact that they shot it there, and I felt like, what's weird is it's kind of like it's kind of like a weird stepson of a John Cassavetes movie without any of the things about it that make a John Cassavetes movie like really worth the time.
Right.
Because it kind of has that same, we have very limited time, obviously limited budget. We're trying to get good actors. We're trying to do something here. And they didn't spend the extra time working on these characters so that you felt like you were in a full immersion into their life. And I think that was a risky thing to do with the lack of funds, script, understanding of it that they seem to have in certain points, because they would cut to some stuff happening with the cops or the scene on the church steps, which is like the scene on the church steps is one of the more poorly managed action scenes. I don't know what to call it exactly. And I don't still know how he gets away, and I don't really understand how they could feel good about keeping that in the movie.
See, I bought that because I felt like it was part of that theme of that when he attacks and he stabs the guy, the rest of society in this movie, other than him, like he's an individual, and everybody else is a mob, right? So the mob is in shock, or the mob grabs torches, but they don't know how to respond. That everybody around him is kind of dead, and he's the only one who's really trying to be alive in a way.
That's just, okay. Yeah. Well, maybe so. Maybe that's true.
That he does that, and they all. I mean, I agree that it was weird, but I felt like it was weird in a stylized way, in a choice of that they don't know how to respond, so they freeze because it's so out of the realm of any experience that they're capable of processing in the moment. Let me throw a couple of other bits and things at you to get your response. when he murders that scene where he's murdering the guy in his bed next to his wife when he's smothering him, and then the wife wakes up and starts screaming, but it's silent. She can't scream out loud for the longest time. Did that creep you out?
A little bit, and it was my favorite sequence. I loved that sequence, but I also didn't. I loved it kind of because it made me laugh. It
Oh.
actually didn't frighten me. I thought it was really funny to me, and kind of like what I would. I was hoping the movie would be more full of that, or an actual, or like, you know, William Lustig. Have you seen Maniac? Have you seen like William Lustig stuff? Or
No. But there were things about this that reminded me of M a little bit.
yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that. You know, I get, I can give you that because I think that they were trying to make this thing, this character, and make it happen, and I just feel like they didn't. It wasn't just budget. I just didn't feel like they actually created a vibe or a tone for me that I believed in. And
Okay.
then they really did go off, like, you like that chimney scene, but for me it read like, I'm like, it just, can you please get out of here? Because if you think you can get down a chimney, then you're a cartoon character, or you're really more out of it than can drive a car. So I'm not actually buying even the attempt to do this. So then to spend 10 minutes on it, where at that point I didn't really care if he lived or died, because I didn't believe the central trauma of it.
Okay.
If in the beginning of this movie they had had the courage to make the grindhouse horror slasher movie that they promised to make, because they made a freaking movie called Christmas Evil, and that's a pact with me, okay,
Okay.
to deliver some things that they literally chickened out of doing because they were going to be too more tasteful than that. Well, forgive me, but I didn't show up here to get you know, a manners lesson and to sit here at a nice dinner party. I came here to see a disgusting, ridiculous movie called Christmas Evil.
Okay, if you're getting this angry about this, I cannot wait to hear you talking about Notting Hill. But
Not
seriously,
angry, not angry at all. Loving every minute of it, full of joy and Christmas spirit.
all right, I'm going to throw some other scenes at you. Santa Claus lineup.
Santa Claus lineup. Which horror movie which Santa horror movie are we talking about at this point?
This
Santa
movie.
Claus. Oh, the Santa Claus lineup.
This
Yes,
is the lineup.
another
Please
great
tell me.
movie. Another great moment.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. That's really good.
Okay. And also the scene in which Bobby Lesser and the great Sam Gray appear. Sam Gray, who's the old disgruntled cop who I had the privilege of working with a couple of times, and Bobby. We both got to work with Bobby.
Well, yeah, and well, I know like 4 people in this movie. It's crazy.
With Steve Mandillo,
Steve Mandillo, Peter Friedman,
Peter Friedman,
and Ray Barry.
Rob Ari. Oh, and Bob Ari is in it also,
Ray Barry.
but also Bob Ari.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you've just corrected me
No,
with the name, but I'm like,
I thought you were mispronouncing
no.
Rob Ari, and then realized you were talking about Raymond Barry, who's
Yes.
in the movie, and Rob Ari. Who's
Oh
in
no,
the
I didn't
movie.
know about Rob Ari. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
who
know
I've
a
worked
bunch
with
of
couple
people.
times.
Yeah.
A bunch of people in this movie, and it's so lovely to see. It's great to see Bobby Lesser.
It's
who
always
turns-
great to see Bobby Lesser, but I mean, like, there we go. There we go. You've got the great Bobby Lesser. You've got Ray Barry, who's a great actor, in a scene together, and that's what we get.
Okay, yeah, I
I have to
agree.
watch another crying breakdown, like acting class of this guy proving that he can go there to some unspecified place of I'm crazy for like 20 minutes over and over again. But then I get to the cops and we're just like, hey, would you like a cup of coffee? We didn't get that guy yet, and we're out. Like, who writes a script where we don't have any B story at all?
Okay, all right, okay.
I mean, Taxi Driver had a whole like Jodie Foster storyline. The plot went somewhere too, and we also had an exploration of this guy.
Then here's what I think we need to do. I think you and I need to rewrite and remake this movie because I think there is a brilliant movie inside this movie.
They already made it though. They made that movie with M and Taxi Driver and I mean, but we could remake it if you want
And
to.
Ernest Saves Christmas is in there.
I think we should maybe think about like Scary Hanukkah, something less. Christmas has been done, so maybe like something about Hanukkah that's scary.
Okay. Let me see if there's other things I want to ask. Oh, who am I? Who are you in this movie?
You are Peter Friedman.
I'm Peter Friedman.
Yeah.
Okay, and who are you?
Um. Who am I? That's a really good question. I really just overthought who you were, and I think that I may be the crazy Santa. I think maybe that might be it. Is that right? Am I right?
Well, I had me down as Sam Gray, the old disgruntled cop. In the scene with Bobby and Ray Barry.
I keep on getting this wrong. I'm sorry. You're right.
No, it's not wrong. We're just and I put you down as Jeffrey DeMunn. I wanted an older brother. I wanted an older brother who was there for me.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that. I think what I'm stuck on is that, like,
disappointed in your older brother. There, that's.
I guess what I'm thinking of when I think about this is like, back in the day when you and I were acting, we were much younger people.
I don't.
And I think of you as Peter Friedman's age from this because that's when we were acting.
Yeah, I think maybe back in the day I might have played that role, except when I was that age I had more hair than Peter Friedman did.
I mean, you could have been, if we go back further, I think you were a very good candidate for Moss Garcia, which is the worst name I've ever heard in a movie.
Okay, so that's another scene. That scene creeped me out. With him hiding in the bushes.
Oh, no.
And scaring the kid, and then the mom slapping the kid. I thought it didn't scare me like in a horror slasher frightening movie.
I know.
But it creeped me out. It seemed so psychologically damaging to this kid. Even more damaging than being named Moss Garcia.
Moss Garcia, that did it, though. He was already crazy.
This
is after, of course, he Santa, as Santa does, of course, usually rub his face in mud and then rub his face on the house of the child. And I think that's the amazing thing about this moment to me is that it wasn't creepy. I watched this happen, and I went like, this is the only time in a movie this ever happened where I wouldn't be like, wow, that's pretty effed up. That's kind of creepy. That's messed up.
What?
And I didn't feel that.
Let me ask you what you had for dinner before you watched this movie.
No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. This movie doesn't have. This movie lacks a horror movie soul. It doesn't have. It doesn't have what I go to it necessarily for, and it didn't replace that with something that I had never seen before.
Okay, all right. Do I have anything else to ask you about here, so that I can be ridiculed and
Well, no, I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that it starts with a Citizen Kane reference too. Like, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Little homage to Psycho in the attack outside the church, with the cuts to the knife. I mean, the cuts to the axe. Quick question.
The axe, which makes it under the poster.
Yes. Quick question. The treatment of women in this movie. Problematic or a purposeful commentary?
Problematic how?
Well, in that they are not they have no agency, the women in this movie, of their own. They are they're less than that. They're very much second class citizens. They're victims. They're wives. They're not active. They're all passive. And is that problematic, or was that a because to me it fit in with the conscious choice of the portrait of the bleak, worthless, middle class world in which he lives, in which men are sort of breadwinners and bosses and active, and women are passive and moms and wives, and nothing is as it should be.
Well, nothing is as it should be. I don't know what that means. What do you mean nothing is as it should be?
In the world that he wants, where people are good and happy, because he doesn't understand the tune to which the world marches.
Right. I don't know. It didn't occur. I mean, look, compared to a lot of horror movies and slasher movies, the women in this, come off very well, considering you don't see them naked in showers or really anybody being murdered at all. Like I said, there's nothing in here that you would like if you like slasher horror movies. So I don't know, I mean, I think that on a very esoteric level, like if you want to really nitpick and do a college course about it, I'm sure people would have a lot to say and complaints about how women are depicted in it. But literally,
Ooh,
like,
hold on, let me pull that out of my. I have something stuck in my back. I have to pull it out. Oh wait, I can't.
no, I mean, like,
Oh, I can't quite. Oh, got it. All
no,
right, yeah.
no.
Yeah,
You got go back and listen to. Oh, I forgot you don't listen to the episodes because you can't stand the sound of your own voice. But you sound great. Then you should listen. But I mean, listen to you didn't give Black Christmas a tumble. I tried to make a case for it, and you weren't having it. It's not. You weren't stabbing me in the back, but and I'm just like,
No, it was the college. It was the college course reference. That I'm being Mister. Oh, if you want to be all erudite about
well,
it.
look, we're both we're both teaching at colleges, so I should watch myself. But no, I just did. I don't know. It didn't occur to me. I wasn't looking at it really through that lens, and coming from 1980 in the low budget horror movie world, I wasn't really expecting it to look good through this lens. I guess the fact that I didn't really note anything particularly misogynistic compared to most other horror movies that you could point at or that you could interpret that way. I have a kind of a different feeling about a lot of horror in that it's so female driven. A lot of it is very female oriented, and some of it is through the male gaze, and I understand that. I just did this movie just seemed like if you wanted to really go here, there's a movie called like Tony Manero that I saw that I would really recommend, and you might see as a double bill with this. Tony Manero being the same kind of idea, except the guy is obsessed with Saturday Night Fever. It's a really, really dark movie where this doesn't, to me, have the courage to be the movie it promises to be. There are others that you could see that deliver that. But here I am promoting, horrible, disgusting violence.
Do you think there is anything, and this occurred to me, and maybe I'm way, way off base, there were things about this movie that, this movie was released in 1980, not too long after Son of Sam in New York City.
I got a real Son of Sam feel, yeah.
And that kind of neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked a little David Berkowitz-y.
I totally feel you on that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not completely out of my mind.
No, I would bet that that was very conscious. I don't think anybody could be making anything like this film around that time in New York and not be referencing it. And I did get that vibe from it.
Okay.
I mean, look, to talk about the things I liked, as like I said, I was surprised at the main character like gave me more of a real character, like work on character, and tried to be real with it. That I appreciated his work and him trying to do it. So I
I
thought
thought his effort to be Santa when he was really being Santa with the kids was pretty fantastic.
I, I like the ideas. I just don't think they ever really. For me, it was like I'm ahead of you, man. Like I just felt like I was watching. It was like a silent movie without any of the beautiful imagery. So it was just kind of like, I get it. You're gonna try to say Merry Christmas and ho 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 Merry Christmas, and we're gonna sit here with you for 3 minutes while you try to say ho 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 Merry Christmas like Santa, and then we're gonna do that again in another scene. I didn't feel like they built on any of this. They just made the same statement with him over and over again. He's crazy. He thinks he's Santa.
But
You know.
what about the end, Tony? Is he Santa?
No, but he's Thelma or Louise, one of the two. I think Louise.
I think he's Thelma or Louise.
He's
Thelma
Ted.
or Louie.
He's one of those.
Right.
The movie does end in a surprising homage to what I would say would be an homage to Repo Man, and you just see it and you'll know what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Do you like? No, we're not done. I can't.
Oh.
We can't be done.
Okay. All right. I'm going on the rack now.
So I love, for instance, watching them solve some wonderful art direction problems. Like, well, it's July. How are we going to have a snow-covered hill? I have an idea. Let's get some white sheets with some cotton balls stapled to it and have a person roll down that like it's a snowy mountain. And that goes about as well as you'd expect.
Okay.
So, I mean, look, we gotta really be honest here about some of the things that happen.
All right. Keep going. What else? What else am I in trouble for?
No, not. I mean, really need we say more? But
Boy, I thought you were going to love this movie and be so surprised that I did. I thought we were going to have a love fest tonight.
yes,
And I
thought
tried to
I
set
know.
it up at the beginning of the show. I tried to set you
Yeah,
up. Like,
I didn't know
here's
how you
another
were.
one that you loved and that I hated.
I didn't know how it was
And-
going to go down. Well,
and,
but this is very interesting and curious because you're right. I thought I should love this when it started. I'm like, oh, they're going to try to do something. Although we'll skip past the first 3 minutes, which isn't very good. It's not a very good. They don't make a case at all for him being crazy. Come on, that drives you crazy. That makes you crazy. Well, I don't know, maybe made you crazy. I don't know.
it made me crazy.
I think that if you watched Woman Under the Influence, and then you immediately then watched Maniac from 1980, directed by William Lustig, you'd get this, but you'd get a better version of it by not having to watch it, which is really maybe the ideal scenario. Didn't mean to be hurtful. I'm just I didn't. You liked this guy. That's the thing. Here it is.
Here
You
it is again.
liked this guy.
There was a killer that I liked.
You
Just-
felt like the tune that he was trying to march to, you thought was a beautiful thing, and if only the world could see it.
And there we go. Just like in Kiss Me Deadly, where when I loved Ralph Meeker
Yeah.
and looked up
Yeah.
to him.
I
So clearly it's me that there's
I
something wrong with.
didn't want to have anything to do with him from jump. I don't
I didn't want to hang out with the guy.
Okay, but you
I don't
supported
want to
his.
hang. I don't want to hang out with Travis Bickle either, but I I sympathize with him.
Okay,
You know, the guy who wants the damaged person who wants a better world. Oh, I got a sigh.
I got you. No, what are you gonna do? I can't. There's nothing I can do to talk to your
To an idiot
positivity.
like
No,
me.
to your positivity, to your boundless. No, no, I just don't want to be that just a guy that's so dark that you have to.
You don't want to
You have a
kill
vision
my
of
dream.
Norman Rockwell, Fantasia of America, and I think that it's beautiful that he thought that that's what he wanted. His tune, I didn't really know what it was. He kept talking about it, but I'm like, I'm
Well,
not
it wasn't
hearing it.
his tune though. It wasn't his tune. It was the world's tune that he couldn't hear. He couldn't figure out the notes of the real world. Is what he was saying. I thought
Oh, okay.
that I can't figure out the tune that everybody else is dancing to. I don't understand it. I can't figure out those notes.
Well, what's fascinating is, of course, thematically how music is so much a part of his life, and we see him trying to be a composer, and it doesn't work, and the tune, the melody of life, he's missing. I maybe buy it more of music, maybe it was mentioned, but it's not.
Oh man. Okay. And next week, ladies and gentlemen.
All I'm saying is just more bigger body count, more scares, more thrills, make me more nervous about staying up late at night and seeing this. Should I do it? Should I do it?
Yeah,
This one's
no,
like, you should. This is good for you.
I
He's
get
acting.
that. It is not that movie if that's what it's promising to be. But I early on accepted that it wasn't going to be that movie, that it was going to be a bizarre character study, and that surprised me. And I went along for, here it comes. I went along for the sleigh ride.
Not a lot of slaying. That's all I'm saying.
EIGH. EIGH.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that another movie? Sleigh Ride? SLA?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Gotta be.
I think what it boils down to is that holiday themed horror movies pretty much stopped with Black Christmas for me, and the rest of them are like, they're fine. They're whatever.
Really? Okay.
I have not been crazy about them. I mean, I admittedly love Black Christmas. I'm not. This movie would have to have been truly disgusting for me to think it could succeed at being a horror Christmas movie.
Well, you haven't read the script for my holiday themed horror movie.
No.
Yeah.
Is it starring Yul Brynner?
No, it's called Memorial Day.
Okay.
No. What are other holidays we could do? You know,
They're pretty much taken, most of them.
pretty-
I mean, I think we've got I don't know if President's Day has been taken.
President's Day,
But, Valentine's Day,
Groundhog Day.
they made a movie, Groundhog Day.
Was that a horror movie? Or I'm sure it's a horror movie to you.
It could be a horror. No, I love Groundhog Day.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I think Groundhog Day is
Arbor Day.
brilliant.
Arbor Day would be a good.
Arbor
horror
Day would be a
movie.
great horror movie. A tree surgeon who goes crazy.
Yeah.
That's actually, write it down. Folks, this is free. Next 20 minutes, no one's going to have a case against you if you just take that and run with it. After 20 minutes, lawyers will be involved.
Yeah.
Arbor Day.
Wow.
Limb by limb. He's taking over the town limb by limb.
Ah, yeah. He's getting to the root of the problem. I'm sorry. And it'll have a co-ed on the poster screaming, "Leave me alone."
Right. Which is something they could have done for this film, and that might have improved things.
You know, the killers in Arbor Day are all Branch Davidians. Oh, seriously. Oh.
It's the puns, they will not stop. They
All
cannot
right,
stop.
So I think we've done our postmortem on
We
on
disagreed.
Christmas Evil. A couple of questions though. The copy that I watched on Tubi, because that's where it was available to me, was actually called "You Better Watch Out." Was the title of the movie.
Hmm. So it's
Maybe
had
we
no.
watch different movies. Maybe that's what the problem is here that we're talking
No,
about.
the chimney scene. We both saw that.
Okay. And were there weird cuts in yours after Santa disappeared at the beginning?
You
After
mean
the
poor editing? Yes, there was.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's moving right along. Moving right along. Next week we are discussing Alien Party Crashers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, including where people can see it?
Okay. Next week we're seeing, as Matthew said, Alien Party Crashers, which is it's a bit of a cheat because it's not really a review show because I had something to do with the film. It was
Oh, I'll review it.
well, I'm sure you will, but we're going to be having a guest on the show as well, the director and writer,
Then I will lie.
and one of the stars of the movie, our own family member here at Arkin Brothers, Maple Dragon.
Maple
Peter,
Dragon. Maple Dragon, if you're listening, I was blocking Loveface XYZ, who has been posting copiously, and I may have accidentally blocked you as well. And if I did, that was an accident.
Okay. Well, that would be, that might be because he's writing terribly disgusting, sexist
No,
things at
I
you.
just
I
clicked
don't
when
know.
I clicked when I didn't mean to,
Okay.
because Loveface XYZ is posting disgusting things on our feed.
I wish I was getting those, but you're not sending those to me. So next week we're going to be we're talking with him about his movie Alien Party Crashers, which is available to rent on Amazon, and I believe maybe a couple of other places, but I should find that out. We'll put that out on social so people can make sure to see it. But I know it's on Amazon. If you're in the UK, the movie might be called Canaries because that was what it was initially called, and the name was changed here in the States.
And
So
it is a New Year's Eve horror movie.
it is, yeah, it is a New Year's Eve sci-fi horror comedy. It's Peter would call it Welsh exploitation because it was shot and made in Wales with a Welsh cast primarily, and I had the good fortune to edit the movie. He approached me to be the editor, and I did, and it was the first feature sci-fi horror movie I ever cut. And it was a lot of fun. And the movie did really well on the indie circuit, on the festival circuit, and it's got a loyal, growing following. So anyway, we're gonna do a interview with him. We might have to do a pre-record just because he's in the UK right now, and we'll figure that out. But that'll be next week.
Right. So next week it may not be a live show, but it will drop at the usual time, so you'll be able to watch it and listen just as you are now. So watch Alien Party Crashers, or if you're abroad or in the UK, watch Canaries, so you can because as you know we do spoilers. Subscribe, like this video, like us, please like us.
Do what you can there. Yeah. We don't make it easy, I know, but
No, we don't at all. But we appreciate you being here. Tell your families, tell your friends. Have a great, safe holiday, whatever you celebrate. And we will see you before the new year.
looking forward to it.
Good night.
Good night, buddy.